What is going on, everybody? It's JetsCentral coming back with another video, and in this one I wanted to take a step back, take a breather, look at every single head coaching opening right now, every single vacancy, go through each team with you guys and list off the names listed to each head coaching vacancy. Go through all the names, talk a little bit about them, and then of course give you my favorite candidate out of the names listed. But before I get into the video, I want to say that tomorrow I'm actually going to be heading up to New York City to visit actually Chris the Entertainer. He's another YouTuber. You might be familiar with him by seeing him on my weekly pick videos. Point is I'm flying up there to live stream the NFL playoffs with him. 2 games are going to be on my channel, 2 games are going to be on his channel. We're going to be live streaming the whole game, hanging out, live, whatever, play-by-play reaction, watch party. So if you guys want to tune in for that, that'd be awesome. I'd love to, interact with you guys, answer some questions, and just talk ball and watch ball together. So, and by the way, I will be on a plane, obviously. If the New York Jets hire their new head coach when I'm up in the air and I land and I find out that the Jets, get a new head coach, that would be extremely frustrating, really, really frustrating. But of course, as soon as I get back to wherever I'm going to be staying, I'll have a video up and ready. So no need to worry on that end. So let's get right into it. The Cleveland Browns, some of the names that have been listed for Cleveland: Freddie Kitchens, their current offensive coordinator; Bruce Arians; Greg Williams; Brian Flores; and then of course Mike McCarthy. Out of that group, I honestly have to say Bruce Arians is number one, first and foremost, because of just the work, his resume, working with Roethlisberger, working with Andrew Luck, working with Peyton Manning. I mean, Arians has done incredible things. Carson Palmer, he has worked with so many great quarterbacks. He has helped out so many offenses in the past, whether it's the Colts, the Cardinals, or the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Bruce Arians has to be your number one candidate. If not Arians, I really don't see what the problem is by keeping Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens in-house. I look at this, what the Browns did, at the end of last season, and I'd argue, why even rock the boat? Why even try to shake things up? You have a good thing going for you in Cleveland. You add a first-round pick. You have a ton of cap space, which only leads me and leads us to believe that the Browns are only going to get better personnel-wise. Why rock the boat? Is Greg Williams, does his message get old after a little bit? Yes, you can make that argument. Is it sustainable? Can Greg Williams be the head coach of the Browns for the next 10 seasons? Probably not. But as of right now, Baker loves Kitchens. Kitchens is right now becoming he's like a hot, sexy name on the market right now. The Browns are actually denying any request for teams that want to interview Kitchens for possible head coaching vacancies. So why rock the boat? Number one, I would go Arians, but number two, Greg Williams / Freddie Kitchens. Keep those guys in house. Next up, Green Bay Packers. There's a lot of names for this one, so just bear with me. We got Matt LaFleur, Josh McDaniels, Brian Flores, Joe Philbin, Dan Campbell, Jim Caldwell, and then, of course, Chuck Pagano. Out of this list, I would have to say right now my favorite out of the bunch is Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur's offense, I think, would be really, really good for Green Bay because it's really hard to put your finger on what LaFleur's offense is going to do next. You take a look at the numbers, the splits between pass and run, it's pretty much 50-50. The only concern I have about LaFleur's offense is I feel like he's a little bit stuck in his ways at some points, and it didn't really take him until late in the season to figure out that Derrick Henry should have been getting the ball a lot more. They should have been a run-heavy team, but he was almost set in his ways too much to where he was kind of going into the job saying, you know what, this is how I like to call plays, this is what I want to do. He wasn't really coaching to his personnel. He wasn't coaching to the offensive strengths, if you will. So I like LaFleur, and you pair him up with Aaron Rodgers. I think LaFleur would dish out a lot of complex things for Rodgers to do. I think you kind of need to challenge Rodgers mentally, and that offense would just be so much fun to watch under Matt LaFleur. And then, of course, probably number two, I would have to give it to Josh McDaniels, even though I'm not a big fan of the guy. He is a good offensive mind, I will give you that. But a lot of Bill Belichick disciples, if you will, have left New England and failed, and then kind of wind their way back up in New England. So do you really want to trust a guy, McDaniels, who is not only coming from the Belichick coaching tree, but he's also had he had that one, he got in trouble. I forget, it was like a spy. He got caught cheating somehow when he was with the Denver Broncos. I forget the exact, what exactly he did. And then, of course, last season, he accepted the Colts job, and then the next day he backed out of it, which is a complete just a low blow. I just really feel like McDaniels is just like, how do you trust this guy after all this stuff? How does this guy keep getting head coaching opportunities? But if you're Green Bay, I think McDaniels, as far as an X's and O's standpoint, I think McDaniels makes a lot of sense, along with, of course, Matt LaFleur. So moving on, we got the New York Jets. The Jets so far have been linked to Adam Gase, Chris Richard, Mike McCarthy, Cliff Kingsbury, Eric Bieniemy, and then Todd Monken. Out of this list, I would have to say my number one is Mike McCarthy. I think he would just bring a lot of structure, a lot of leadership to this New York Jets team. I feel like he could help Sam Darnold succeed. You know, McCarthy's had a firsthand experience or firsthand seat of watching Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. Hopefully, and Sam Darnold kind of has that Brett Favre in him, where he's like a little bit of an improviser. He extends plays with his feet, a little bit of a gunslinger as well. He's going to turn the ball over. Let's see if Mike McCarthy can not only help Darnold and this offense out, but also create a staff that is balanced on both ends. So Mike McCarthy is my number one for the New York Jets. My number two out of that list would probably have to be Todd Monken, a really aggressive thinker who always has his foot on the gas pedal. He wants to score points on every single drive. You know, if the quarterback throws a pick, it's not the end of the world. He gives the quarterbacks a lot of confidence, whether it's verbally, or physically. You know, he's really, he's just a great leader of men. And whenever you watch him in interviews, you can tell he just desperately wants to win. And I really like his offensive system, the vertical downfield passing onslaught that Monken brings to the table. So I also think that would be a huge help for Samuel Darnold. So McCarthy, Todd Monken. Next up, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, the Cincinnati Bengals, we got Zach Taylor, Bill Lazor, Josh McDaniels, but he actually declined the request, so McDaniels is pretty much off the list. And then Hugh Jackson, which is completely absurd, but in any case, the Bengals have pretty much those three guys right now. Out of that list, I would have to say Zach Taylor. You know, Zach Taylor is a guy who is young. He's innovative. He's worked with he's the quarterback's coach over there in LA. Super highly regarded right now, coming obviously from the Sean McVay coaching tree. He also has a little brother named Press. He's the quarterback's coach over there in Philly, and they say if Zach Taylor gets a job, he's going to bring his little brother Press with him to be whatever quarterback's coach or offensive coordinator, or even a passing game, a guy that oversees the passing game. So I could see Press Taylor, I could see Zach Taylor going to Cincinnati, giving that organization some new life, which I think they really need. But a name that they haven't even reached out to, Chris Richard. I think he's a perfect fit for the Cincinnati Bengals. He just has so much fire in him, just putting that personality in the town of Cincinnati, who hasn't really had that much excitement, over the past, under Marvin Lewis's tenure. I just think that'd be really cool. I also think he, with the style of players that the Bengals like to bring in, they like to give guys second chances. They tend to play really violent, really aggressive on defense. I think that's right up Richard's alley. I like Chris Richard to Cincinnati, but I haven't heard his name being mentioned to the Bengals at all. So Zach Taylor, number one. I don't think the Bengals should hire Hugh Jackson. Not in the least. It would be an absolute mistake. So moving on, we got the Denver Broncos, and they've right now only been the names that I've seen the Broncos been linked to. Chuck Pagano, they actually just wrapped up the interview with him today. Zach Taylor, same quarterback coach, and then Vic Fangio, the D coordinator over there in Chicago. I think out of this list, Vic Fangio makes a lot of sense in Denver. I still, if I'm the Denver Broncos, would take a really good look at trying to get Kubiak out of retirement, possibly Mike Shanahan out of retirement. I look at the Denver Broncos right now, and they still have a lot of valuable pieces on defense. You have a quarterback that can take care of the football. You have a really nice running back core, along with a young wide receiving core. Offensive line needs a little bit of work, but you can, kind of band-aid it somewhere, at some parts of the offensive line. I think Vic Fangio right now would be a great fit in Denver. The only concern that you would have is you're bringing in another defensive guy. The Denver Broncos already have an amazing defense as it is. I think they really need help on the offense side of the football. So I feel like Freddie Kitchens would also be a great fit for the Denver Broncos. But moving on, we got the Arizona Cardinals, and the Arizona Cardinals have been linked to Adam Gase, Cliff Kingsbury, Dan Campbell, and then Zach Taylor. Out of this list, I would say the best fit would be, it's tough. I would say it's either Zach Taylor or Adam Gase. I say Zach Taylor because I feel like Josh Rosen will be an extremely, extremely good fit in the system that the LA Rams run. Not saying that Taylor's going to just bring up the exact same playbook, but he's been around the West Coast system before. I think Josh Rosen would thrive on that. A timing system, really, you're getting the ball out of Rosen's hands quickly. You also have a running back on your team that can be the bell cow of the team. So you're not asking Josh Rosen to throw it 50 times a game. So if you're getting the ball out of Rosen's hands quickly, accurately, time efficiently, I think not only are you obviously would you be putting the ball in play more, control, thus leading to higher time of possession numbers, but you're also resulting in a decrease in percentage of Josh Rosen getting hurt and taking hits, something he took a lot of this past season. So I like Zach Taylor to the Arizona Cardinals, and then I also say Adam Gase because, again, Rosen's fit with Adam Gase would be really, really. I just think he'd be a great system fit over there with Adam Gase's offensive system. Adam Gase knows offense. He's not really that good with communication. Gase and Rosen might butt heads a little bit, but Gase wanted Rosen in the draft. He wanted Josh Rosen to fall to him. The Arizona Cardinals traded up right in front of Miami. I don't think that's a coincidence to snag him. Now Adam Gase could be sitting there saying, "Hey, look, I could go to Arizona and be the coach of the quarterback that I wanted originally." So, and also the Cardinals also have a pretty established defense as it is, and they have the number one pick, and you could add a Quinnen Williams or a Nick Bosa, with that number one selection, Ed Oliver possibly. So the Cardinals defense is already solidified. I think you got to get somebody in there to really push Rosen to get this offense jump started. So moving on, we got the Miami Dolphins. Now, this is a team who I haven't really seen a lot of names listed. I've seen a lot of push for Chris Richard. He's probably the number one guy I've seen the Dolphins push for. And then Dan Campbell, the old Dolphins interim head coach. I think Richard, and this is coming from a Jets fan here, and by all means, this is unbiased as it could be. I think Chris Richard to Miami would make a lot of sense. And as a Jets fan, I would actually be pretty bummed out if that happens, because I think Richard, he's ahead of the curve. Everybody's talking about the young offensive minds right now in the National Football League. Zach Taylor, who's the next Sean McVay? Is it Kingsbury? Who's the next Matt Nagy? Who's the next Kyle Shanahan? Everybody's looking for the young offensive innovators, the pioneers, if you will. In a few seasons, the NFL, the defense will be back. 2, 3, 4 seasons, the offenses will slow back down, and the defenses will catch up to the offenses. I guarantee it. Chris Richard, like McVay, is a young, innovative defensive mind. He was one of the biggest driving forces in creating the LOB, the Legion of Boom with Seattle. He's been around Pete Carroll. He's been around Gus Bradley. He's been around Dan Quinn. So he knows the secondary. Look at the Cowboys secondary now compared to last season. Complete turnaround. Great leader of men. Chris Richard to the Miami Dolphins, teaming up with the guys like Xavier Howard, Minka Fitzpatrick. That could be a really, really nice fit. He's kind of like the anti-Adam Gase, where he's just in your face. He loves the game. What you see is what you get with Chris Richard. So I like Richard to the Miami Dolphins. Looking at this list, actually, Dan Campbell has a lot of the same kind of in-your-face qualities, which is good because I know when Dan Campbell was with the Miami Dolphins, he was beloved. So moving on, we got the last one on the list, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this one's actually really, really interesting. So we have Eric Bieniemy. We got Bruce Arians. I haven't seen an official report, but I see a lot of Buccaneers fans, and I see a lot of Buccaneers, not necessarily fans, they're not necessarily beat writers, but just qualified people on Twitter saying keep your eye on Jack Del Rio for Tampa. And then this one actually came out today, which is I would have to say right now would be really smart. It's Brian Kelly, the former Notre Dame head coach. I think Brian Kelly to Tampa Bay. You look at Brian Kelly, what he's done with Notre Dame, a program Obviously, everybody knows Notre Dame, and they of course get 5 and 4-star athletes, but they don't get the level of athlete that an Alabama does, a Clemson does, a UF, a Texas. They don't get that quality of an athlete. I look at Brian Kelly in Notre Dame. I think he brings a lot of the same attributes that Mike McCarthy would. He would bring structure. He would bring, a sense of organization, which is something that the Tampa Bay Bucks need. He would bring discipline. He would bring that just this, and I don't want to sound like being a stickler is a good thing, but he would just bring a level of, he would hold players accountable, right? And I just feel like Brian Kelly right now to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be an amazing hire. I think people would scoff at it and say, hey, who's this old guy? He's already past his 50s. He's coming from college. He's never even been an NFL head coach before. This is just going to be a laughing, just complete. It's going to be a complete train wreck. I actually disagree. I think Brian Kelly, if he goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, that team's 8-8. That team's 9-7. You add in the 5th overall pick. You add in possibly a free agency class. Now, it is kind of up in the air. Are the Bucks rebuilding? Are the Bucks kind of in the thick of things? Nobody really knows, but they have some nice young pieces on that team with Mike Evans and whatnot. Jameis Winston, he's still up in the air. So Brian Kelly to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I would love that. And then Bruce Arians as well. You would have to assume that if Bruce Arians gets hired over there in Tampa, because there is the Jason Light connection, that he would probably bring Todd Bowles with him, the now fired defensive coordinator that's out in the market. So if you're looking at a Bowles Arians reunion down there in Tampa Bay, look at the division. Matt Ryan, high flying offense. Carolina Panthers, they hit the ground running. They run the football like no other. And then of course the New Orleans Saints, high flying offense. You have to figure out how you're going to compete in that division, because Drew Brees doesn't look like he's slowing down. Sean Payton doesn't look like he's going to leave, like a Patriots situation. The Falcons you can never count out, and same with the Carolina Panthers. So right now you have to figure this thing out if you're Tampa Bay. I would say it's either Brian Kelly from Notre Dame or Bruce Arians. Those are the top 2 guys I would be looking at if I am the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that caps off the list. Browns, Packers, Jets, Dolphins, Bengals, Broncos, Cardinals, Bucks. And let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Think about all those names. Think about, some guys that maybe I didn't even mention, and list them down below in the comment section. Can't wait to hear your thoughts, because I love talking about this stuff. I love talking about off-season topics. They're just so much more exciting, so much more. I just love it so much than making videos in season. I love doing the vids in season, but I just feel like in the off season there's just so much speculation. There's just so much room for opinions and thoughts from every fan across the world. It's just amazing. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And as always, go Jets.